Extremely friendly, always smiling, and hilarious are all the things that come to mind when I think of my younger cousin, Sammy. 6 years ago, Sammy was diagnosed with Williams syndrome at age 2. Today I will be informing you about Williams syndrome because it's a syndrome that most people have never heard of. It is a condition caused by the absence of chromosome 7, resulting in medical problems and developmental delays. First, I will tell you what medical problems are caused by Williams syndrome. Second, the learning disabilities, and finally, the characteristic of a person with it. So here's my cousin Sammy. First, I will tell you about the medical conditions caused by the syndrome. People with Williams syndrome usually have heart and blood vessel complications, so they have a very narrow aorta, but it can vary on how narrow your aorta is or not. And if it's more serious, then surgery may be needed, but not always. And then according to WilliamsSyndrome.org, last accessed on November 6, 2014, since there is an increased risk for development of blood vessel narrowing or high blood pressure over time, periodic monitoring of cardiac status is necessary. So that quote's just talking about that over time you may need your heart monitored if you do have problems with that. And then another condition is low birth weight and slow weight gain. So babies with Williams syndrome are usually really tiny, like Sammy was super small when she was born. And then adults are usually much smaller than the average adult. So there's Sammy again. And she was 8 there, so she's really small for an 8-year-old. They also have dental abnormalities. So their teeth are usually really small and far apart. And they also have a lack of enamel, so they get cavities really easy and have like a long history of dental problems as they grow up. And then they also have hypercalcemia, which is high blood calcium levels. And according to WilliamsSyndrome.org, last accessed on November 6, 2014, when hypercalcemia is present, it can cause extreme irritability or colic-like symptoms. Occasionally, dietary or medical treatment is needed. And then, so they can have a lifelong abnormality in calcium and vitamin D metabolism. So one thing is, if you have Williams syndrome, you're not supposed to go in the sun very much, but Sammy always goes in the sun, so she gets super tan and like brown really easily because of the lack of vitamin D. And then they also have musculoskeletal problems, which is low muscle tone, and joint stiffness will increase with age. And to like fix that and make it better, physical therapy is usually needed to improve muscle tone, strength, and joint range of motion. Okay, second, I will talk about the learning disabilities caused by Williams syndrome. So here's a girl that's not Sammy, but a different girl, and she's having an aide help her because they usually need aides in school to help them. They can't really get by themselves. So children with Williams syndrome usually have really slow development. Walking and talking takes a lot longer than an average kid. Sammy said her first word at age 2, and she learned to walk at 14 months, so she was pretty advanced for a kid with Williams syndrome. But there's a really large spectrum for slow development. Like some people are adults and still can't really talk fully and develop sentences, but then some kids are perfectly fine like Sammy. Kids with Williams syndrome also get easily distracted, so they need a lot of extra help in school. And according to WilliamsSyndrome.org, last accessed on November 6, 2014, older children and adults with Williams syndrome often demonstrate intellectual strengths and weaknesses. There are some intellectual areas, such as speech, long-term memory, and social skills, in which performance is quite strong, while other intellectual areas, such as fine motor and spatial relationships, show significant weakness. So that's just talking about the large spectrum there is. They can be really good at other things and really bad at other things. It just depends. And motor skills may not even fully develop, or spatial awareness. But Sammy develops speaking skills very quick, while some people don't even fully learn to speak. Finally, I will talk about the physical and emotional characteristics. The physical characteristics are turned up nose, wide mouth and large lips, and a really small chin. According to AboutLearningDisabilities.com, last accessed on November 6, 2014, children with blue or green eyes that are diagnosed with the condition often have a recognizable white star-shaped iris. So here's a pictures of different people with Williams syndrome, so you can kind of tell the characteristics that make them look similar. And then The emotional characteristics are people with Williams syndrome are extremely friendly and social. They're not shy at all, and they'll literally talk to anybody and make conversations with everybody. And they're kind and always happy. And like in my town, everybody knows Sammy because she talks to everybody and makes friends with everybody. Like if you go to the grocery store, everybody knows who Sammy is everywhere. So in conclusion, Williams syndrome has affected my family in many positive ways. Sammy is the happiest little girl I know, and she can make anybody smile. Today I have informed you about Williams syndrome by first telling you what medical problems are caused by Williams syndrome, second, the learning disabilities, and finally, the characteristics of a person with it. Although there are many health problems caused by Williams syndrome, there are many positive characteristics that come with it. The happiest people I have ever met have this syndrome, showing that nothing can take their happiness away. I hope you all get to meet somebody with Williams syndrome at least once in your life.